Welcome to the Haney Biz Project with Mark Haney. Mark is a serial investorpreneur and the chief dreaming officer of the Haney Biz Companies. He's working tirelessly to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution and share the inspiring stories of the region's most influential leaders. And now, here's Mark Haney.
All right. This is the Haney Biz Project, and we are on a mission to ignite the entrepreneurial revolution right here in our hometown of Sacramento. Marcus, we are entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs, sharing
Absolutely.
the most interesting business stories, the entrepreneurial stories, the good stories in Sacramento, and we do that one entrepreneur at a time. We're hoping to inspire people, educate people, have people coming away saying, I can do it too. And that's what this show is all about. How you doing this morning, Marcus? You hanging or banging?
I am banging. Really excited to be here. I'm excited to hear from David Lichtman and all the interesting people and a good insight he has to offer us.
Yeah, now you say you're banging today. We know today it's the first of the year. It's our first show of 2018. And when we're banging, that means we are at our very best. We are in the zone. We are on our very best opportunities. So you are here today. What's the mood now as you enter 2018, Marcus?
Well, focus is really the attitude over at Haney Industrial Supply. So really trying to hone in on what we do well and executing that every single time.
Well, what about New Year's resolutions? A lot of times this time of year you're starting to make, or some people are beginning to make those New Year's resolutions.
I'm not much of a resolution guy. I take
you
that
don't
off
believe in quitting, huh?
I guess not. But, if I have to, I resolve that I will be at my very best every single day on whatever I'm doing.
Oh, well, that sounds pretty darn ambitious.
Hey, man, got to go big, right?
That sounds ambitious. Well, as you know, I do not make typical resolutions, but I do want to redouble my effort on my routines. I'm a routine guy, right? So I believe in setting up these series of routines that tie to the overall mission, the overall vision. And I like my habits. Some of them aren't so good, but I like my habits.
Does Mom?
No, she doesn't like those. But in the every week we ask a question in the Revolution, our little weekly newsletter that goes out, and this week's Revolution asks the question: what is the biggest obsession of most of the successful entrepreneurs out there? And we're in a position, Marcus, right, to be talking to the most successful entrepreneurs in the region. And do you know what their biggest obsession is, Marcus?
No, but for personally, I would say time, because it's the one thing that we are limited to. There's limited resources and personnel, money. The time
you allocate
is
those resources. That's probably the biggest decision that any of us as entrepreneurs, as business people, as managers, even as individuals that we make. What do you do with your resources? And you're right, Marcus, time is one of our most valuable resources. If you're a single entrepreneur, a solopreneur, it's your time on the books and you have to make the most of it. But I think as companies get a little bit bigger, the biggest obsession that we've got to have is communicating our vision, communicating the mission, maybe even over-communicating to the point where people even get tired of hearing about it. And as I think about how important communicating the vision is, communicating the mission is, as I go into 2018, I think, have I done that to the extent that I need to do that on this radio show, on the Haney Biz Project? Have I explained what this show is all about? Have I explained what the entrepreneurial revolution means to me? Why we do what we do? Why entrepreneurship is so game-changing, and how much opportunity that it creates? And I said to myself, no, I have not drank my own Kool-Aid. I have not explained what this is all about. I think we've done a great job of telling stories and bringing out the best in others, but why do we do it? We're going to talk about that later in the show, Marcus.
Stick around.
But later in the show, a little bit before that, we're going to meet the human resources guru, the CEO and the founder of Silver's HR, Kim Silvers, is in the house.
Yeah.
But coming up after the break, the most important man in Sacramento business news. Mr. David Lichtman is in the house as well. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, brought to you courtesy of Five Star Bank. This is the Haney Biz Project.
Now, back to the Haney Biz Project with host Mark Haney.
All right. Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Sun System Technology. I'm Mark Haney, and it's been 2.5 years in the making, but today I am joined by the most important man in Sacramento business news, Mr. David Lichtman, the publisher of the Sacramento Business Journal, is in the house. How you doing, David?
Mark, great to be here.
I appreciate you coming on. We finally got it done. I want to get to know you a little bit. Maybe I'll start with a question. Who is David Lichtman?
I'm just a guy that loves business and loves Sacramento.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it's all about.
Well, you do so much in bringing the news to Sacramento. And for those of that could be listening that don't know about the Sacramento Business Journal, give us an overview of, it's not just a newspaper, it's a lot more. Give us an overview of the organization.
Yeah, Mark, the Business Journal is about connecting the business community, and we do it in multiple ways. So we do it through our events where we get people to get together, network, educational events, recognizing business success in the marketplace. Women Who Mean Business is one of our big award programs, 40 Under 40, representing the most influential 40 people under the age of 40 in the Sacramento area. And then our digital product is designed to reach as many people as possible.
Right.
And our print product is designed to give people that tactile, in-depth experience of the news.
Yeah.
But it's really
Some of us
about...
still like holding the newspaper, right?
Got to have that
Yeah.
paper. People spend about 40 minutes a week reading our newspaper, the physical paper. But really, the mission is about providing business intelligence and news to the business community so that they can increase their business.
Well, I get the digital emails, right, which is like a little snippets of breaking news. And I open every email because it's like it's always the latest and greatest on what's happening. A lot of times it's in entrepreneurship. Sometimes it's in larger businesses as well.
Right. Well, that's one of the number one ways people get to the Business Journal product is our morning and afternoon email.
Okay.
And it's all about the breaking news. The Business Journal used to be a Friday-only publication. Now it's a 5, 6, 7 day a week publication. Whenever the news breaks, we're pushing it out.
It's fantastic, and I think it's such a help for giving us this information, and you guys do such a great job. So thinking about the organization, you break it up, you've got your events, you've got your newspaper, and then you have your digital platform or your digital product.
Right.
Where do you spend your time? When you're in the zone, what are you working on? Because I see you everywhere. It's like you are at every event in Sacramento.
Well, I tell you where I don't spend my time. You'll never see me writing an article.
Okay.
I got experts that do that. Now, my name goes out on the email, but that's about putting a face on the Business Journal.
Okay.
Between you and me, don't tell anybody. I don't write any of them.
Okay.
I don't even hit the send button.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a great team that does that. My job, again, is connecting the business community. It's meeting the top leaders, connecting them together, introducing clients, prospects to people, each other, helping them develop their business.
Okay, and so
that's why you see me out.
Yeah, now thinking about, I like how you've diversified into digital, if that's what we call it, or you're migrating into that. Or I love it, and I'm an old guy that still likes to look at the newspaper, but I love the digital. It's quick and it's easy to work with. But the events. How many events do you do per year, and how, not just you personally attending other people's events, but the events that you guys put on, you help other people put on their events, plus you have your own events, right?
Correct. We do 12 signature events a year that we are editorial content. We control the content and the awards. We also will do what's called a custom event seminar for a client who says, we've got a message we want to put out there. We don't know how to do it. Well, we have an event arm that's an expert at doing events. So if the content is appropriate to our audience, we'll actually develop an event for a client and run it for them on their behalf for a small fee, of course.
Yes. Well, one of the events that you guys put on yourself is coming up, I think, next week or the week after, the Book of Lists night, right? And
Yes.
I happen to, so those you have done something so awesome in this Book of Lists, recognizing family businesses, recognizing the fastest growing businesses, recognizing different types of businesses. Each week in the Business Journal, there's a cool list that comes out. And I think most of us look to see, hey, do I know anybody on the list? How'd you come up with that idea, or what is that all about?
You know, this again, it's about business intelligence. So many companies, and this goes back to Business Journals. Sacramento Business Journal has been in business 33 years.
Okay.
American City Business Journal is over 50 years old across the country. We have 40 business journals in 40 different markets. A lot of businesses ran their business but never knew where they stood vis-a-vis their competition. So the idea was, why don't we do the research and we can rank these businesses and they know where they are year to year vis-a-vis their competition. It's kind of like a Forbes 500, but it's for each local market, so we localize it. So that was a concept, and it turns out it's a unique selling proposition for the business journals, and we do it superbly. Our research director's been there 32 years.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I've had companies that have been in the Business Journal book of lists for this and that, fastest growing, privately held, largest, stuff like that. And I think we have one now that is on a few lists. But it feels good to get your name in the paper. Am I right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what do people, I mean, like, does that make people really, I would think that it attracts not just the people who are on the list, but it's the people who want to know who's who in the community.
Absolutely. You know what? It's a resource for business leaders to find out who they want to do business with, who's where on the pecking order. Imagine if you're an architect, okay, I'm just going to use an architect, and one year you rank 15th on the list, and the next year you rank 16th on the list.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know what happened, right?
You just motivated that guy.
Absolutely. Or you're on 13th on the list. You've moved up. What happened? What was the difference? And it gives each business that makes it to a list a chance to self-evaluate every year when their list comes out.
Well, I mean, the thing, I saw you last year at a number of events. What's some highlights from 2017? What were the great things that happened for you in the Business Journal?
Well, that's a tough question. Well, breaking the news on the Centene story recently was a huge story. I'd say our breaking news stories and our called our cover stories, our in-depth investigative stories that we run every week. It's a weekly thing. It doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're doing that kind of in-depth research and in-depth reporting, it means something.
Yeah.
I couldn't put a possible on one single event.
Well, I mean, is it tough to single out too? Like each week, you only have so much room in the newspaper. You're going to send so many emails out. Like this. Deciphering what is the breaking, really big news versus like, well, you know what, that guy just wants to get his name in the paper. How do you decide what goes in the paper?
It's got to meet three. It's got to meet three qualifications. It's got to be local. Okay, that's our number one qualification. It's got to be local. It's got to be business related. It's got to relate to more than just the industry in which we're reporting. Okay. So if we're going to do a commercial real estate story, it's got to relate to more than just a lot. Okay. So those are the things. And then the fourth thing is it exclusive? Do we have the front end on something that nobody else has? And that's part of what a great journalism product is in today's world. Content is king. You run content.
Well, I do, and I'm discovering. I'm dipping my toe into your world, and that's why I'm sitting here learning how it is done and doing it obviously on the radio, but. Thinking about your organization, and it's a larger organization, and you're the Sacramento Business Journal. Talk to us about the relationship with is it a parent company? How does that work? Are they separate entities?
We're actually, we have a parent company, American City Business Journal, is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're a private company. We are also a subsidiary of an organization you may have heard of called Condé Nast Publications and Advanced Communications.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They are publishers of Golf Digest, Condé Nast Traveler, Brides, Architectural Digest, one of the largest publishing companies in the world.
And so
based in New York.
So your view of what's going on in newspapers and media and so on, what do you see for the Business Journal, I'd say in 2018 and beyond?
I don't see much change for us, actually. We got to continue to do what we're doing well, and we just got to continue to do it better. Interestingly enough, in an area when most print publications are losing readership, we're down 0.05% in subscribers this year. But our digital readership is actually up almost 15% in unique users or unique visitors every single month. So we're growing our digital, and our print is shrinking minuscule. I mean, it's up flat, basically. So I don't see much change in that. What we got to continue to do at a really high level is find the stories that people want to hear about, respond to what they're telling us, and make sure we deliver more of it.
Well, let's talk about that. In the coming year, there's a lot of, it's almost like animal spirits right now in the economy, right? And Sacramento is not immune to this enthusiasm or confidence in growing businesses. It's starting to happen in a big way right here in Sacramento. What's that mean for news moving forward? What do you project out in terms of big things on the horizon in the way of news?
Well, as far as news, I don't think that changes a whole lot. Well, I think what's going to change is we're going to see an acceleration in commercial real estate development. There's $1 billion worth of projects that are entitled and in permit phase in the Sacramento core region, the four county region. $1 billion that's in the pipeline. That'll start getting underway. Okay, we've been waiting on a lot of these things to work through. That's going to increase the construction trades, where there's a huge shortage in the construction business right now. And that's slowing down the starts. So that's going to help. Then you're going to have employment go up as a result of that because you're going to have retail, mixed use, and so forth. That's going to bring in more population. We are primed for a population spike, I think.
Okay.
And we're definitely primed for a business start spike.
Yes.
The
The new tax laws, too, I think encourage us to think about doing things that are more on the entrepreneurial side of things, right? Because the pass-through businesses, they got a little bit of a break there. Yeah. Okay, so thinking about your life as the publisher is the Business Journal, that's one part of your life. But we were talking before the break about your family. You're a family man. Tell us about that.
Well, I've been married 29 years to the same woman, actually, which is kind of nice. I've got two daughters. That one lives in Southern California, one lives in San Francisco, and then we've got two girls that we've adopted that call us mom and dad. We're not legal adoptions, but we're kind of their parents, and they're in our lives as well. One lives here and one lives in Santa Rosa, works for Lagunitas.
Well, you told me, you told a group of us, you were giving a speech of sorts at the Innovation Awards that you were putting on one of your events, Sacramento Innovation Awards, and you got up at the end and shared with us your thoughts about innovation as relates to the arts. What were you thinking?
You know, Mark, we're talking about innovation as a mindset, okay? And as I'm listening to these great companies talk about how they got to where they are, it occurred to me that the arts are a cultural foundation. It's a mindset. The creativity that comes from the arts translates into the creativity that comes into growing new business, developing new business, innovating new business. If you can't envision being an actor or being another character, you can't ever envision in being a successful anything. So I think that culture in our community, and to be able to have this culture of innovation in the arts, whatever they may be for the individual, translates into a culture of innovation in the business workforce as well.
Innovation, it is a mindset. I like the way you think. I love what you're doing for Sacramento, for the business community, for the entrepreneurs that I love. And so anyway, thank you very much for finally joining us on the Haney Biz Project. After 2.5 years, we finally got you. David Lichtman, publisher of the Sacramento Business Journal. Coming up after the break, we will meet again, the human resources guru of Sacramento, Miss Kim Silvers is in the house, founder and CEO of Silvers HR. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of Audi Rockland. This is the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to Mark Haney, igniting the entrepreneurial revolution with the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you by Hub International. I'm Mark Haney, and today I am here with Kim Silvers, the CEO and founder of Silvers HR. How you doing, Kim?
I am great, Mark. Good to see you.
Thank you for joining me on the show once again. I know you were one of our original guests. It's so cool to see you again. We know each other well, but for the people that might not know you yet, give us an idea who Kim Silvers is, and maybe talk to us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure. Well, real quickly, Kim Silvers is an HR nerd who has been in Sacramento for 30 plus years. I started a company after 20 years in a corporate gig, and we started Silvers HR in 2001. And we are the outsourced HR department backup for the management team for usually small to mid-size corporations, private sector. And my job is to help those business owners and managers, one, keep their employees, and two, stay out of court.
You know, it's interesting because you are an entrepreneur and you help entrepreneurs, so you can probably relate to their journey, right? Their path. It's not always easy, and I guess we when it comes to HR and regulation and compliance and things like that, it can be a little stressful at times. But I want to know about your journey a little bit. You said you come from corporate HR. What led into the entrepreneurial decision?
You know, I probably wouldn't describe myself as the entrepreneur. And certainly when I was in corporate, I would not have described myself as that. I was a really good corporate citizen. And after 20 years, I had worked my way up the ladder. I was really burned out on the endless meetings, the politics, the big lady clothes. And so our company was purchased and my stock options vested. And I said, I think I'll take my midlife crisis sabbatical and go figure it out.
You thought about retiring and said not going to do it, and put out your shingle.
I did. What I did learn pretty quickly in that midlife crisis sabbatical is that I need to be busy. And so I took a year off. We built a house. I kind of ran that project and bugged the general contractor a lot. And then realized that it's no fun for me to be not working and not busy. So I will do this for a really long time.
And you built a really cool house 2 doors down from me. We became friends, and I never really knew. I knew you were in HR, but we never really had the time to talk about your business. Tell us about the journey, right? So back then, that would have been 2001. It sounds like you build the house and you're building a business at the same time. What did the journey look like?
So it started with me working from the den, and I was pretty sure people would just call and give me business, and pretty quickly realized that was not the case. And so I started marketing and, attending lots of events, lots of Business Journal events, to speak to David's appearance here. And then I realized that I didn't want to do all of the work. I really liked the business development part, which I would never describe myself as a salesperson, but it was the challenge. And it was a measurable challenge. So I brought somebody on initially as an independent contractor. That was a long time ago, and we got more busy. And then a few years later, I bought another book of business, brought on another employee. There are now 6 of us. We're in the process of recruiting now, and we have really senior level professional HR consultants who work with employers.
Well, you said you're an outsourced HR business. What does that mean? We, as a business owner, how do we utilize your services? How does that work?
Well, usually an employer wants to make sure, first of all, in this great state that they're in compliance generally on the big things they're most vulnerable for. So we'll do HR practices reviews and walk through and do lots of training and coaching with them on what needs to be done, particularly around things like wage and hour laws here, around leaves of absence, and then we do a lot of work around performance management.
Okay.
And helping employers structure what good performance is like and how to measure that and how to incentivize people with that. And then the other side is when employees aren't performing, how does the manager either work that person into a better position or work them out.
Yeah.
And we take a lot of pride in our employers don't get sued very often if they follow our direction.
Well, I'm envisioning a lot of us small businesses, we can't afford yet to hire the HR guru, the person that has the education and really stays up on the changes in the laws. And so, but you do maybe have an office manager or somebody who's strong in overseeing sort of the team. And I could see you sort of replace the need to have to go out and get your degree in HR and get all this specialized training.
Yes, and because we're consultants, employers are paying about $10 a day for a senior level HR consultant who has 20 years of experience.
Wow.
And we're on call for them.
$10 a day, and I don't have to hire, my wife was an HR director for the city of Roseville for 20-something years, and I know she got paid more than, $10 per day, and that blows me away.
Well, that's the way we work it, and our clients pay a flat fee, and then they get unlimited phone calls and emails. They have an assigned consultant. And, we just want to make sure they call early, we get things underway, and we're not working in a crisis mode.
Well, we need places like Kim Silver's to keep us out of trouble. With the new tax, there's all kinds of changes to the tax code. We've been talking about that the last year as we plan for taxes. What should we be planning for in terms of changes in regulation as relates to HR?
Well, I think, the big one right now, and this is not just in California, is the Me Too movement and the sexual harassment claims in that. And California has been more sensitive to those things for a very long time. Larger companies are required to do minimum 2 hours of training for their managers every 2 years. But I would recommend that, if you have fewer than 50 employees, you don't wait until you hit employee number 50 before you do that sort of training. So I think employers need to be really sensitive about that, setting the company culture and what that says in terms of their behavior. There are some new laws out this year that are going to be a challenge for employers. Probably the biggest one is not being able to ask about criminal convictions.
Okay. In the recruitment process, on the job application, you can't ask if you've ever had a felony.
Right. So it's called Ban the Box.
Okay.
And San Francisco and LA have their own. Many states have laws around this now, but as of January 1st in California, you cannot ask anything about that. And then there is a very specific procedure in notice requirements to the candidate or the applicant if you get something back that's not favorable.
Well, how do employers feel about that new regulation? Have you talked to any of them yet?
I've talked to lots of them, and they're overwhelmed. They want to know early on. I certainly understand the basis for the law, but I think that for employers, it slows down the hiring process and makes it more difficult. For many years, we've had lots of laws federally as well as state around background check information, but this will certainly slow it down.
So, we talked about the new employment, the recruitment efforts, right? Sexual harassment, it's a hot issue. You talk about training. What else should employers be thinking when it comes to how to deal with possible sexual harassment issues? Because when they come up, your whole world must change. When that happens, it's like business comes to a screeching halt, especially if it's somebody in leadership that gets accused of something.
Well, and it quite often is, although we're seeing more and more in particular industries where it's peer-to-peer sort of harassment. It's not always sexual harassment.
Okay.
That's the sexy part of this news story we see in the press. But there certainly can be harassment about gender identity. Transgendered individuals now have many more protections in the state of California. It can be about religion. It can be around a laundry list of different categories. And so you're right. Things come to a screeching halt, and everybody is tiptoeing around. And employers have a legal obligation here now that if there is a complaint raised that they knew or that they should have known about, then they have to do an investigation. And it has to be done by an impartial, trained investigator. In California, that either has to be an in-house person or an attorney or a licensed private investigator. So there are a lot of checks that need to be done in that investigation, and it really can be difficult. And then probably the bigger financial liability for employers is after the investigation's done and the individual who filed the complaint or somebody who served as a witness says, I've been retaliated against because of that. And those are double damages usually.
Well, I can just imagine it's so stressful to have any kind of human resource claim, whether it might even be just an audit, a routine audit from workers' comp or something like that. And it's stressful. And so with you, I have to imagine, I know that I'm complying. I know I got a good heart. And with Kim Silvers and Silvers HR on my team, it's got to help people sleep a little bit better at night.
Oh, gosh, I hope so, Mark.
I love it. I want to thank you for what you do for the entrepreneurial community. You're obviously helping keep us from stepping on our own on our own tail in many situations, but you also do so much at the Chamber of Commerce and in charity and in support of entrepreneurship, like the Haney Biz Project. So I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate what you do.
You are absolutely welcome. It's an honor to be a part of this community and to participate in it.
That's great. Well, when we return, I will be rejoined by Marcus Haney. I have decided that I am going to make it a little bit more clear what the vision is, what the mission is for the Haney Biz Project radio show. Join the revolution at haneybiz.com, courtesy of the Entrepreneurs Organization of Sacramento, law firm Greenberg Traurig. This is the Haney Biz Project.
And now, back to the Haney Biz Project with investorpreneur Mark Haney.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of accounting firm Clifton Larson Allen. I'm Mark Haney, and I am joined by Marcus Haney. Marcus, we've been talking to two of the leaders of Sacramento's entrepreneurial community, the business community. Takeaways from today. We'll be sharing some closing thoughts in the next segment. But I mean, did you learn anything from Kim or David?
From Kim, absolutely. As a business owner,
keep your hands to yourself, young man.
Well, luckily I'm good at that. But the laws of not being able to communicate with potential employees about what they've made in the past or if they've had a criminal record or whatnot seems a little bit interesting to me, and I look forward to seeing how that plays out.
Yeah, and David, with his inspiring way of thinking about Sacramento and with the events and how he has that precision around the book of lists, which I think motivates a lot of us.
I always look at it.
Yeah, we look at that on a regular basis, and I think for a lot of people, people use that as a marketing
Absolutely,
hit list, right?
yeah.
I know people do that.
No doubt.
So we talked also at the beginning of the show about resolutions, but we talked about the fact that one of the most important, probably the most important obsession that a CEO, a leader ought to have is communicating, over-communicating the mission and the vision. And, I preach that to my companies. I preach that on this radio show every so often. But have I done that myself regarding the radio show? Do we talk about what the entrepreneurial revolution is all about? And I don't know that I've done a good enough job on that. Marcus, thoughts?
I think that you like to be humble and not put yourself in the limelight of being the person who needs to win and be in the front of every conversation. But I think that you have a lot of passion around exactly what we're doing here with the revolution. I think that you inspire everybody that works here at the Haney Biz headquarters, and we should tell the world a little bit more in depth about what it means to you, Mark Haney, to start this entrepreneurial revolution right here in our hometown.
Well, I mean, I think entrepreneurs, they hold a special place in my heart because I've seen the effects that a successful entrepreneurial venture can have, right? So a lot of people think of this business as a zero-sum game and that it should be sort of divided up equally. Well, I think entrepreneurs view business and as something that if you chase an opportunity and you do something with it, it actually creates more opportunity. The pie finds a way to get bigger when an entrepreneur finds a way to succeed. So I've seen that happen. It happens in the form of jobs. It happens in the form of people upgrading their standard of living. It happens in so many ways. And so the entrepreneurs, I hold them up as the heroes of American capitalism. And I think they're the key to Sacramento winning over the long haul, because it's from these entrepreneurs that so many other opportunities surface. So with that in mind, I like the idea of figuring out a way to inspire entrepreneurs, to educate entrepreneurs, and like David Lichtman of the Business Journal says, figure out a way to get them connected up. And I think, so how do you do that? This radio show came almost on a whim, but it's beginning to take a little bit of root here, and I think it's because of the stories that we tell. We tell the entrepreneurial story, sort of one entrepreneur at a time, one conversation at a time. We share these entrepreneurial stories. And when you hear about a guy like, let's say, Dale Carlson, right? He built the sleep train into 300 and something stores and had an incredible exit. But you think about what he did. He didn't start off killing it, right? I mean, he almost went out of business at the beginning, and he found a way to adapt and overcome. He persevered, and it wasn't easy. And I think when people hear a story like Dale's or hear a story like any entrepreneurs, it wasn't easy, but we can identify with that, and maybe it gives us a little bit of hope, right? We can call that inspiration, but I'm inspired when I hear success stories, especially when you get them to be vulnerable and help them share what really happened. It wasn't that easy. It looks glamorous from a distance, but when it came down to it, it was a lot of hard work. But look at the opportunity. Look at the number of millionaire opportunities that he created by building the sleep train. What if we had, I have this fascination with, what if we did a lot more of that? I mean, Dale Carlson found a way to bring in the right team, to bring in the right partners, and do something incredible. But a lot of people, they feel a little bit alone, right? So if we can help people not feel so alone, I think that's the secret to winning in entrepreneurship. Finding the right business partners, finding the right team, finding the right people. So hopefully we can help not make people feel so alone, but also figure out ways to get them connected.
Yeah, that ripple connection that you talk about, you always tossing that pebble in the pond to create the ripple effect. It's not easy to sustain, right? I mean, we have to have folks like the Business Journal and Silver's HR really taking root in the entrepreneurial community to help drive this stuff. But you have to stay motivated too. You know, you have all this stuff going. What is something that you do on a daily basis that keeps you motivated to be the tip of the spear?
Besides meeting the most interesting people in Sacramento, the most driven people in Sacramento, the most ambitious people in Sacramento, I mean, that's pretty inspiring for me. There's probably nothing that I do to keep myself motivated beyond that. But here we are, here in Mark Tank, right? My world is around me. So I have a list of everybody who's been on our radio program. I have a list of people who are coming up on the show in our calendar. They inspire me. But I also find a way, I think we have to keep our purpose in our life, right? So I have figured out a way to do that. I walk 6 steps from my desk over to meet the coolest people in Sacramento. But when you look around Mark Tank, when you look around my office, I see pictures of my grandchildren, right? That's how I get inspired. I start thinking about my 100-year plan and what, you talk about the ripple effect. If I can do one little bit here, what does that do for my family? What does that do for my friends? And what does that do for Sacramento? So I see my family. I see the people that have come back. I have a flag behind me from a young man that I coached in baseball, and he later became a Marine. He spent some time in Afghanistan, and when he came back, you know, this young man, Lance, I think he hit, 19 home runs for me in baseball. You know what? When he came back, he was so appreciative of what I had done with him by putting my arm around him in baseball. He brought me back the flag from his base in Afghanistan. So that's the kind of thing that inspires me. If I can do my little part to help share some entrepreneurial stories, to help inspire the next guy in line, you know what? I come back motivated every single day.
I love it. Yeah, speaking of the list of people that have been on the show and all the whiteboard space you have on here, is technology going to be something that you put into your next pivot in life? Because you got the names of everybody on pieces of paper hanging on the wall.
I'm being teased for being a visual type guy. I like to have it on the wall. I like to have, I'm a dry erase board. I think it helps inspire. I'm the chief dreaming officer of the entity, right? We have all these businesses, and I'm not in the day-to-day on these businesses. There's presidents of all our businesses. I'm the chief dreaming officer, so I'm built that way. I'm built as one of those people that visualize things. But I've been lucky enough to surround myself with people who are great with technology, right? For 54, I'm okay on technology, but I put, we have IT, we got an IT company. We have, we have all these technological people around us, and I surround myself with a lot of young people, as
you
you
go.
know. And these people, the millennial generation, they came out of the, they came into this world, with phones in their hands and so on. So I found a way to put those kind of talented people around me, and not only does it keep it fun and motivational, but it allows me to live in the past with dry erase boards and flip charts and things that you describe, you laugh at me about as lack of technology.
I think it's important that you do what works for you, right? And I think that you've expressed that a lot on this show about people and entrepreneurs, business folks being themselves and really making that their focus versus trying to be someone they're not. And I think that's a really good model that you...
Well, one of the keys, I think, to being happy is figuring out a way to be comfortable in your own skin. It hasn't always been easy, but that's what I try to do. I will be doing that again next week. We're going to have Denton Kelly. He is coming on the show. He's LDK Partners. They are doing some incredible stuff at the rail yards and at McClellan and beyond. And we will also meet Dorrell Teet. He's the interim CEO of the Sacramento Metro Chamber. When we return, again, we'll have a little more on the takeaways, and I'll have a little bit more of my thoughts about how to win in 2018. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of Ethan Conrad Properties and financial advisors, Stifel Financial. This is the Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back for Mark's takeaways from today's Haney Biz Project.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you by Silvers HR. I'm Mark Haney, and I am back here with Marcus Haney. Marcus, we've been talking about 2018 and where are we going, what are we doing, and where are we at? I mean, it's the beginning of 2018. It's the great place to start the year, but looking forward to 2018, I mean, we're all starting at different places, aren't we?
Absolutely. I'm starting out second year of my industrial supply business, really focusing like I said in the previous segment. But I think that you look at entrepreneurs that need Kim Silver's help and that are larger and trying to innovate themselves to stay ahead of the curve.
Without a doubt. I think at the beginning of the year, we're talking about our dreams a little bit. We're feeling out what's important to me. Why am I doing this? What do we want to look like? And I think some of us want that big house with the circular driveway, living next door to Kim Silver's.
It.
Yeah, a lot of us want that. A lot of us are thinking about what it means to our family to build a successful business. And some of us are just at that beginning stage where we're launching that business like you are today, Marcus, or maybe we're even an employee thinking about how do I create some opportunity right where I'm at. And I think in entrepreneurship, that's what we do is, especially when we're growing, we're working on helping create opportunities. But it doesn't matter as much where we start, right, as much as it does where we're finishing, right? So when we finish, that's it. But it's also the journey that makes us stronger. So, right, it's where we start. I think this is important, but it's so much more important where we finish and what we learn along the way in that journey. And it reminds me of a story, which I like to tell a story on every show. And this one, I'm going to tell about this. I think it was a story about a guy who started from the back and found a way to finish strong. And it was the early 70s, 1972, Munich, Germany, right? So the Olympics are going on, and here's our family gathered around the television set. And my dad, I think this brought us together, but I think in a way in the Vietnam area in the 70s, maybe it brought America together a little bit as well. And we're watching the Olympics, and there's this one race in the Olympics. It's the 800-meter run. And there's this one guy that year in the finals that gets out of the blocks slow, and he stays back. My dad's cheer. My dad loves this guy. He's a goofy guy with a golf cap, right? And he's in last place. An 800-meter run, right? That's twice around the track. There's no time for jogging, right? People a lot of times say in entrepreneurship, oh, it's a marathon. They're like kind of trying to take you off the hook, but I believe in entrepreneurship, it's a series of sprints, right? And we got to we need our downtime, right? We talk about that, but there's a time when you got to be doing your bang and you're sprinting, right? You're going for it at your very best. Well, that particular day around the TV set, the Haney family saw this guy. His name was Dave Waddle, goofy ball cap, last place, but he goes into lap number 2, way back. The announcers are ruling him out. They're counting him out. And little by little, he starts to pass people. And little by little, the announcers are shocked. Everybody's shocked. He's come out of nowhere. And at the very end, guess what? He wins the race. How did he do it, right? He kicked in at the end, but he didn't worry about doing it the same way as everybody else. And you know what? He did it by interval training, right? A series of sprints, the same way we do in entrepreneurship. It isn't, you don't go out and run 26 miles training to be an entrepreneur or winning in entrepreneurship. You run a series of intervals, right? Where you and these intervals are painful, right? It's these intervals. You like the pain of losing, or do you like the pain of working hard in interval training? Well, Dave Waddle came out of nowhere to win this thing. And he won it because he had done some interval training, right? Running these series of sprints. And I think that as we look forward to 2018, I'm going to challenge myself to run my sprints a little bit harder, to absorb a little bit more pain, recommit, the mic slipped away from me, recommit to a series of disciplines, of habits that are not always fun, but they always feel better at the end of the sprint. So as we look forward to 2018, just a Sacramento salute to the leaders of hometown patriotism, to the people who are doing their sprints every day. David Lichtman, Sacramento Business Journal. Kim Silvers, Silvers HR. We love what you are doing. You, Marcus Haney, at the beginning of your series of sprints this year, you know what? It doesn't matter where we start as much as it matters where we finish and what we learn along the way. Thanks. Appreciate the listenership this year. Looking forward to a big year. And as we do our toast at the end, like we always do, let me lead it off with this. Never above you, never below you.
Always by your side.